Hello everyone, welcome to the session on elements of mechanical engineering. I am Satish H, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore. So this session we are going to discuss the topics which are in continuation with the topics of module number 2, that is boilers and then the pumps and turbines. So particularly in this session we are going to discuss about the pumps, that is hydraulic pumps. So the different topics that we are going to cover today are listed out here. The hydraulic pumps, okay, introduction. Here we will see what do you mean by why it is called as a hydraulic, and then what do you mean by the pump, okay, what is the definition for this pump, and then like a pump as a device where you can see in a daily life applications. So that those things we will discuss under this heading. And then next one is the classification of the pumps. Okay, there are various different types of pumps are available, so which are suitable for different applications. Okay, so depending upon the applications you have to select a type of the pump. Okay, so in that view the classification of the pump is very important. So the next one is like a reciprocating pump and centrifugal pump. Okay, so in the case of a classification of the pumps, okay, we have basically two types, important broadly classified types. That is, one is positive displacement pump and then non-positive displacement pump. Okay, as an example for the positive displacement pump we will study about the reciprocating pump. Okay, so which discharges, okay, so fixed quantity of the water, okay, so using a piston type of a pump. Whereas in the case of a non-positive displacement pump, okay, as an example we will study the centrifugal pump. Okay, so you with the help of a centrifugal force, okay, so a pressure is developed inside the pump. Okay, that we will discuss under the centrifugal pump. Okay, so the last two topics, the concept of cavitation and concept of priming. So under this headings we will discuss what do you mean by the cavitation, why does this cavitation happens, what are the effects, okay, what are the causes it has on the pump components or the parts of the pump, and then how to avoid this cavitation. Okay, so those things we will discuss under the concept of cavitation. And then the last topic is about concept of priming. Okay, so priming is filling up of the pump, okay, before starting it, okay, with the liquid that is it is used to pump. Okay, for example, if you are using the water as a liquid, like you want to pump it to one place to the other place. Okay, so before starting the pump you have to fill that water into the the casing or the inlet line or the suction line. Okay, so why that is needed, okay, what happens if that priming is not done, what happens to the pump. Okay, so those things we will discuss, okay, under the topic that is concept of priming. So coming back to the first topic, that is hydraulic pumps and introduction. So hydraulic pump, okay, there are two words in it. Okay, so one is hydraulic and then one is pumps. Okay, the hydraulic says the type of the pump it is, because in our syllabus only hydraulic it is. We are discussing only the hydraulic pumps. So hydro means water. Okay, so these pumps are used to pump the water. Okay, so that is why it is called, I mean, hydraulic word is included. Okay, the second word here it is the pumps. Okay, the pump is a device which converts the mechanical energy into the electrical energy. Okay, so before going to discuss about this definition, so we will try to understand in common life where all you see this pumps are in daily usage. Okay, where do you see these pumps? Okay, for example, at your homes, okay, every home has a pump, okay, utilization of the pump. Okay, so most of the homes. So because we know that the water that we use for the daily use in our homes, okay, it is stored in the sump. Actually, sump is the underground tank what we have at our homes, and then we have a overhead tank, okay, at the top of this house. Okay, so we pump this water or we transfer the water which is stored in the underground tank, that is sump, okay, with the help of a device, okay, to the overhead tank that is above the house, okay. So then from the overhead tank we will take it to the various locations in our house, for example to the kitchen, to the bathroom, okay, to the sink, okay, etc. Okay. So in order to pump this water which is underground, that is stored in the sump, okay, to the overhead tank, we use a device called as a pump. Okay. So what does the pump do is, here in the case of a household applications, it will lift the water, or it will transfer the water from the sump, which is underground tank, to the overhead tank. Okay. So that is the function of the pump. Okay. So one more example probably commonly you come across is when you go to the fuel station or to fill the petrol or diesel, okay, petrol to your two-wheelers or mopeds or the bikes, and then petrol or diesel to the cars, okay. You go to the petrol station in order to refill, okay, the fuel, okay, that is need to run the car or the moped or the bike, okay. So what they do is they put one nozzle into the tank, and then they start this device, okay. So that starts to pour the fuel, that is petrol or diesel, into the your vehicle, okay, your two-wheeler or a car it might be, okay. So what is happening, okay, how come that like a petrol is coming into the tank? It is because there is a device that is installed that is called as a pump, okay, that we call it as a fuel pump, okay, fuel station that is used, okay. So basically what it does is the petrol or diesel which is stored in a container which is underground, it will lift that fuel and then put it into the vehicle, okay. So that is what the pump does, okay. So like this you can have many number of applications, okay. So in daily life the pump can be used, okay. Some of the more examples are, like for example in the irrigation purposes, okay. For example, if you have a reservoir, okay, so from the reservoir where the water is stored, okay, the water is transferred from the reservoir to the place where it is used, okay, to the cities or the urban areas, etc. Okay. So like how do they transfer is, they have a pipelines, like through the pipelines with the help of a pump they will pressurize that fluid, and then that will be taken from the source, that is the reservoir or the dam, to the place where it is used, okay. For example, households, okay. So that is one more application. In the irrigation purposes, you have a water source, and then you want to distribute that water to the various crops in the fields, okay. So then also you want to transfer that water from like a source to the different crops or the different areas in the field, okay. Then also you can make use of this a pump, okay. So irrigation field, it finds its application. So again we have the engines, okay. So probably you know that we use in a vehicles like a two-wheeler or a car, we use the engine. That engine, what it does is it converts the energy which is stored in the fuel into the mechanical energy, that is why it moves, okay. So for the engine, the fuel required is petrol or diesel, okay. So in the case of the car, okay, we have something called as a fuel pump. That what does a fuel pump does is, okay, it takes the fuel from the tank and then it will transfer it to the to the combustion chamber where this fuel is burnt, and then the energy is extracted, then the vehicle moves, okay. So in that case, in the engines also, your cars, you use this pump which is called as a fuel pump. And also like in an engine, okay, since a very high temperatures are there, so you need to cool down the engine. Probably you might have seen they put some water into the radiator, okay. So like that is situated in the car, okay. So that water has to be circulated around the like a engine where the high temperatures are there, okay. In order to circulate that water, okay, so we need a like a pump, that is called as a circulating a pump, okay. So which is used to cool the engine, okay. So similarly you can have a lubricating oil. So that lubricating oil is also transferred to the various parts of the engine, okay, with the help of a pump, okay. So that is why, okay, it finds its application in the engines also. In the industries, for example, in a chemical industries we need a pump, and then in a petroleum industries, for example, you might have seen this oil refineries where the from the bottom of the sea, okay, so you have this petrol, and then the crude oil is extracted, okay. To take that crude oil, okay, from the bottom of, under the surface of the earth, okay, so you need those pumps to pump it, okay. So in those cases, in the petroleum industries also you can use this pump, okay. So like these are the some of the applications you have seen, okay. If you take the human body as an example, okay, heart acts as a pump, okay. So what does the heart does is, okay, it takes the oxygenated blood, okay, from the various parts, and it supplies the oxygenated blood to the various organs or the systems of the body, okay. So heart acts as a pump which pumps the blood, okay, throughout this, okay. We inside our system, okay, inside our body we have a concept of pump, that is heart can be taken as a which works in the similar fashion as a pump, okay. So like this we can quote any number of examples, okay. So coming back to the definition here, the mechanical energy to the hydraulic energy. So the mechanical energy is the rotation of the shaft or the like a reciprocating motion of the piston, okay. The rotation of the shaft, okay, is given by a prime mover. We need a prime mover to move the pump. That means, what is mean by the prime mover? Prime mover is for example, you can take it as a motor, okay, which drives this shaft, okay. So that is converted into the hydraulic energy. That hydraulic energy can be pressure energy, kinetic energy, or the potential energy at the output, okay. This is a definition of the pump, okay. So pump is a device which converts the mechanical energy into the hydraulic energy, okay. That is the definition. So here in the schematic diagram we have tried to represent this pump, okay. So this is the pump here, and then this is a suction pipe, okay. So this is a sump where for example water is stored, since we are discussing about the hydraulic pumps. So this is imagine this is the water which is stored in the sump. We want to lift this water which is inside this sump, okay, to the delivery pipe here, okay. So like we have connected this pump to the electric motor. As I said, in order to drive the pump we need a prime mover, okay. So this electric motor acts as a prime mover which drives the shaft, that rotation of the shaft. So because of that this pump runs, okay. So after this a pressure is created, okay, the suction pressure, due to which the fluid which is inside the sump is sucked into the pump and then delivered to the, okay, delivery valve here, okay, or the delivery pipe here, okay. So this is the electrical connection we have to supply for the electric motor. We need a electrical energy, okay. So that is like a schematic representation of what are the components of the pump, okay. We need a prime mover as well as a pump, and then the electrical energy in the pump, the mechanical energy is converted into the hydraulic energy, okay. So next the topic is that is classification of the pumps, okay. So this gives the broad classification of the pumps, okay. The pumps are classified as positive displacement pumps and then non-positive displacement of the pumps, okay. What do you mean by the positive displacement pump is that, so it supplies a fixed volume of water, so using, okay, reciprocating or rotary, okay, action, okay. For example, if you have a piston and cylinder arrangement, for every revolution of this shaft, okay, so it pushes or it gives, okay, a fixed quantity of water at the outlet, okay. That is called as a positive displacement pump, okay. So the next is non-positive displacement pump, okay. So it gives variable quantity of the water, so using a centrifugal effect, okay. So that is called as a non-positive type of a pump, okay. So it has certain advantages. Positive displacement pump can generate higher pressures, so and then the mechanical efficiency or the efficiency of those pumps is very high, okay, and then they are compact, very less in size or compact in size, okay, compared to the non-positive displacement pumps, okay. So some of the examples for positive displacement pumps are, again, not examples, they are classified as a reciprocating pumps and then the rotary pumps, okay. So again, rotary pumps are classified as the piston pumps and then the plunger pumps, okay. What do you mean by the reciprocating pump is, okay, if you have a piston, cylinder inside which a piston is moving to and fro, okay, then it is called as a reciprocating type of pump, okay. So don't worry about this, because in the next topic we are going to discuss one of the type of this reciprocating type of the pump, okay. So that is called as a like piston pump. So there we will see how this the construction and working principle of this reciprocating pump. Okay, so again rotary pump. Okay, so this is classified as vane pump, a gear pump, and then the screw pump. Okay, so here there is no reciprocating action. Okay, there is a rotary action. Okay, because of if you have a two wheels and then they are rotating against each other. Okay, then we call it as a rotary motion. Okay, so because of this we create some pumping action there. Okay, so that means we create a difference of pressure that will lift the water from the low pressure to the higher pressure. Okay, so those are the type of the pumps comes under the rotary pumps, that is vane pump, gear pump, and then the screw pump. Okay, so that is a classification under positive displacement pump. Okay, so next is a non-positive displacement pump. Here we have a centrifugal pump and then axial pump and mixed flow pump. Okay, so these are the in the centrifugal pump. What happens is we use the because of the centrifugal force which is developed. Okay, the water is thrown out. Okay, so and then since the outside casing is the cross sectional area is different, it goes on increasing towards the outlet. Okay, then the pressure increases. Okay, at the outlet of this pump. Okay, so we are going to discuss one of the type of this. Okay, that is centrifugal pump, the construction and working in the later. And then this is again classified as axial pump and then the mixed flow pump. Okay, so this gives a broad classification of this how the pumps are classified. So we are going to discuss next, okay, the construction and working of the reciprocating pump and then the centrifugal pump. So while discussing about the classification of the pump, okay, so there are basically two types, that is positive displacement pump and then the non-positive displacement pump. Okay, so as an example for the positive displacement pump, okay, that will deliver a fixed quantity of the fluid, okay, using a reciprocating action. Okay, so for that example we will study this pump, that is a reciprocating pump. Okay, so this is the sketch, okay, so or the diagram for this reciprocating pump. Let us try to understand what are the different components or the elements of this reciprocating pump. Okay, so basically we have this piston which is this is a piston which is hatched portion, so which is fitted inside this a cylinder. This outside part is called as a cylinder. So and then we have this connecting rod. So and then we have a crank here, and then which is the crank is again connected to the electric motor, which is a prime mover which will drive the pump or which will give the mechanical energy. So and then we have this if you come to the downward side here, we have a suction pipe where the fluid is taken from the sump. Okay, for example water which is stored in the sump, that is stored here, and then this is the sump, and then the sump level is indicated here, and then we have a valve, that is a suction valve, okay, which is a unidirectional valve or one-way valve or a non-return valve. So and then on the other side we have a delivery valve here. Okay, so this is connected to the delivery pipe. Okay, so this is the portion of the delivery pipe and this is a portion of the suction pipe. Okay, so these are the various components of this pump here. Okay, so coming to the working principle, how does this pump operates? Okay, is that okay? So here we have a TDC, okay, the short for abbreviation of top dead center is a TDC. Okay, this position of the piston is called as a TDC, and then we have a BDC, the abbreviation for bottom dead center. Okay, so when the piston is extremely onto this side, so then we will call it as a BDC. Okay, so during the suction stroke, okay, coming to working principle, so there are two stroke, okay, one is suction, one is a retraction stroke. Okay, so extension stroke. So during the suction stroke what happens is, okay, so as I said, okay, the crank, okay, this is a crank, this line is crank, okay, represented by this line here, and then when it is rotated, okay, so for example like when this point exactly at A, okay, this piston is exactly at TDC, at the top dead center. Okay, so when this crank is rotated, okay, when it reaches C, okay, that means when it travels A to C, that means it will travel about 180 degrees. Okay, so then the piston moves from this end to this end here. Okay, so when this piston moves from this end to this end, okay, so what happens is the volume inside that cylinder increases. Okay, so when the volume inside the cylinder increases, the pressure is, the pressure inside the cylinder drops, okay, it drops below the atmospheric pressure. That means we call it as a vacuum pressure, okay. So when here we have a vacuum pressure or the pressure below the atmospheric pressure, whereas at the same sump we have a atmospheric pressure, okay. There is a difference in pressure between the inside the cylinder and then the sump, okay. Here we have atmospheric, here less than atmospheric, okay. Then what happens is a suction is created, okay. What do you mean by the suction is, okay, if you have a juice or if you take the glass of water or a glass of juice, okay, so you put the straw and then when you suck the juice, okay, with the help of a straw, okay, what you are creating is inside your mouth you are creating a negative pressure or the vacuum pressure, okay. So but the juice inside this glass, it is at the atmospheric pressure. Because of the difference of pressure, the juice or the water, okay, rises inside this straw or the pipe, okay. So in the similar way here it happens, okay. So since there is a difference in pressure between this point and this point, a suction is created, then it will lift the water, okay, through this suction pipe here, okay. So at this time, so one important thing to note down here is, okay, this valve is open, okay, this is in open position, that will allow the water from the sump enter into the cylinder here at this portion, okay. Whereas the valve, okay, this valve, that is delivery valve, is closed position, okay. So when piston moves from this end to this end, a suction pressure is created, okay, the water tries to rise in the suction pipe, this valve is open, now this valve is closed, okay. So that is one stroke, okay. So and then in the next stroke what happens is, now this point is here, okay, and then the piston is extremely at the other end of this cylinder, okay, at this point, that is BDC. Now when this crank moves from B to A, that means it is making one more revolution, one more, I mean it will go by 180 degrees more, okay. So what happens is, whatever the fluid which is taken in the previous stroke, okay, so that is pushed by this piston, okay. The piston is moving in this direction, the fluid here, okay, it is pushed, okay. Now this the suction valve, okay, so it is in closed position, whereas the delivery valve is in an open position, okay. So that means to say, the whatever the fluid here, it is like a pumped or it is going into the outlet or the delivery pipe at higher pressures, okay. So similarly, so this piston reciprocates inside the cylinder, moves forward and backwards, it continuously creates the suction pressure and then sucks the water from the sump, and then it will deliver it to the delivery pipe, okay, that is happening continuously here, okay. So these two valves are the non-return valves, okay, that is suction valve and then the delivery valve. What do you mean by the non-return valve is, it will allow the fluid or the water to flow in only one direction, okay, you can see here, okay. So this valve allows from the sump to the cylinder only. From the cylinder to the sump, it doesn't allow, that is mean by one-way valve, okay. So here also it will allow the fluid to flow from the cylinder to the delivery pipe only, okay. It doesn't allow the fluid from the delivery pipe come back to the cylinder, okay, that is not possible, okay. So that is about the reciprocating. Why the name is reciprocating? Because this the piston inside the cylinder is moving to and fro, or it is reciprocating inside the cylinder, okay. So the function is, it is lifting the water which is inside the sump, I am sorry, so to the delivery pipe here, okay. So that is about the reciprocating pump, okay. So as an example for a non-positive displacement pump, we will study this one more type of pump, okay. So that is called as a centrifugal pump. Okay, so that is the centrifugal pump. The sketch, okay, for the centrifugal pump is as shown here. So it basically consists of, coming to the construction, what are the different components or elements of this pump are. The first one is very important component, that is impeller, and then the casing, the second component. And then the third one is, that is a suction pipe with the strainer, okay. So and then the fourth one is a delivery pipe, okay, and then strainer, okay. So the impeller is at this point, okay, this is the impeller we have, and then this is a casing, this is surrounding the impeller is a casing, this is a delivery pipe along with the delivery valve, and then this is a suction pipe, okay, and then sump where the water is to be, okay, lifted, okay. So this is a sump, and then we have a foot valve and then the strainer here, okay. So this impeller, it is a rotating component of the pump, okay, or the centrifugal pump, okay. So it has a series of curved blades, okay, are arranged over the periphery. So and then so it will it is mounted on the shaft, okay. So it is mounted on the shaft. That shaft is driven by the prime mover. Normally that is electric motor, okay. So if you take this example, okay, so this model as an impeller, okay, so you have this this is the eye of the pump, okay, this is where you mount this on the shaft. So and then on the periphery we have a series of curved blades are mounted, okay. There are 4 blades which are mounted here. So and then so this is mounted on the a shaft which is driven by the electric motor, which is a prime mover, okay. So that is what we have shown here, okay. This component is called as or the element is called as a impeller, okay. So surrounding this impeller we have this casing, okay. So this is a casing, okay. One of the important feature of this casing is that if you see this cross sectional area here, okay, so here it is very less, okay, as you travel around this impeller here in the circular fashion or the radial fashion. So this the area, the cross sectional area is increasing towards the outlet, okay. So it is not same or uniform everywhere. So it is gradually increasing towards the outlet, okay. So that is the feature or the speciality of that casing, okay. So the next one is suction pipe with the strainer. This is a suction pipe. The function of the suction pipe is it will transfer the fluid from the sump, okay, into the into the pump or onto the impeller, okay. So the strainer and then the footwall. The strainer is used because we want to take out or filter out any solid contaminants, okay, from the fluid. Otherwise they will enter into the pump. They might damage the components of the pump, okay. That is why we use this strainer here. And then this is where the water is stored. This is called as a sump. And then we have a delivery valve, okay. So and then this is a delivery pipe. So delivery valve controls the flow of the fluid, okay, so into the delivery pipe here, okay. So these are the various components, okay. Coming to the working principle of this, okay. When this impeller is rotated with the help of a prime mover, that is a motor, okay. So a suction is created, okay. Suction, as I explained before, it is a negative pressure, so compared to the pressure in the pump, okay. Because of that the fluid starts to rise, okay, through this suction pipe, and then it will enter onto the impeller, okay. So what the impeller does is, okay, it will throw the fluid outside, okay. You can see this something like this. The fluid is thrown out, okay, so towards this casing here, okay, towards this casing, okay. The name centrifugal comes from this because of this action, that is centrifugal action. Centrifugal action is throwing out from the center, okay. The fluid is thrown out towards this casing here or the housing here, and then when the fluid travels in this the housing, okay, since this area is increasing, the velocity decreases, the pressure at the outlet is increasing, okay. So that is how there is a suction is created, and then the with the help of a centrifugal force, high pressure fluid is delivered at the delivery pipe, okay. So this is the construction and working of a first one is reciprocating pump as well as the centrifugal pump. So let us discuss the last 2 topics for this session, that is the concept of cavitation and then the concept of priming, okay. So here the first is concept of cavitation, okay. So what do you mean by the cavitation is that, okay, so when this a liquid or the water is flowing inside the pump, okay, so sometimes what happens is the pressure of that liquid, okay, so the falls below the vapor pressure of that particular liquid, okay. If it is a water, when the pressure falls below the vapor pressure of this water, okay, then what happens is the water tries to evaporate, and then they form the kind of bubbles, okay. So when these bubbles enters into the high pressure zones, okay, for example on the impeller or onto the casing or the outlet of the pump, okay, so these bubbles will burst, okay. So by bursting of these bubbles will create the shock waves, okay, that will cause damage to the components of this pumps, okay. So for example impeller, or it could be a housing of the pump, okay, or the outlet pipe, okay. So all these components might be damaged, okay, because of this one, okay. That is a mechanical damage, okay. So That is about the concept of cavitation. And then effect of cavitation. What are the effects? Okay, it is first one is excessive noise and excessive vibration. Okay, so as I said before, when these bubbles are formed because of the low pressure, which is less than the vapor pressure of the water, so bursting of these bubbles, okay, so they will cause this vibration, and then they will also cause the noise. Okay, so when the pump is operating at the noise, it also means that, okay, probably there might be cavitation happening, okay, which is not desirable. Okay, so and the next effect is damage of the metallic surfaces. Okay, as I said before, while bursting they will create a pressure kind of waves. Okay, so shock waves, those shock waves mechanically damage, okay, the surfaces of the various components. Okay, for example, surface of the impeller, okay, blades, okay, or the casing inside a metal surface of the casing. Okay, so all these things can get damaged. Okay, so because of this bursting of the bubbles. Okay, so which is caused due to the cavitation. So and then we have a pump efficiency decreases. Okay, efficiency means it is a measure of how effective the pump is working. Okay, so if there is a cavitation, the effectiveness, okay, of the pump is okay, will be coming down. Okay, or it is not sufficient. Okay, so and then we have a precautions against the cavitation. What are some of the precautions, okay, in order to avoid the cavitation? Okay, one of the precaution is that you reduce don't allow that, okay, maintain the pressure above the vapor pressure. Okay, so the main reason for this cavitation or the formation of the bubbles is that the formation of this, the pressure drops below the vapor pressure. Okay, so if you maintain the pressure of the liquid inside the pump, everywhere inside the pump above this vapor pressure, these bubbles doesn't form, and then this doesn't lead to the cavitation. Okay, so that is one of the way you can avoid this, or you can take a precaution against this cavitation. Okay, and then next one is aluminum, bronze and stainless steel coatings. Okay, so one of the effect of effect of cavitation is that, okay, it will damage the metallic surfaces. Okay, so as I said, impeller or it can be a housing inside surfaces, metallic surfaces can be damaged. Okay, so in order to avoid that, you should coat this inside metallic surfaces, okay, with the help of these metals, aluminum, bronze or stainless steel coatings. Okay, so these will sustain, okay, although if this bubbles burst, okay, the coating will prevent the components, okay, from the damage. Okay, so those are some of the precautions, okay, measures you can take in the case of a cavitation. Okay, so this is about the effects and then the precautions, okay, how to avoid this cavitation, some of the points about that. So the last the concept for this session is the concept of priming. Okay, so when you sometimes want to start the pump, okay, so when there is a air which is trapped inside the pump, okay, the pump doesn't start immediately. Okay, so then you might have seen some in some cases, okay, so they will, before starting, they will fill this pump with the fluid. Okay, if it is a hydraulic pump, you will fill that with the water. Okay, so that concept is called as a priming. Okay, with the help of a priming, so you by filling this the casing of the pump as well as the impeller region as well as the suction pipelines. Okay, so you are making sure that the air which is trapped inside the pump is removed. Okay, so that is what is meant by the like a priming. Okay, so I retained this the sketch of a centrifugal pump here. So here I have made this attachment here. Okay, so this is a funnel where the water is poured. Okay, so make sure that before starting a pump, okay, so you have to pour the water so that this portion, that is the whole of the casing as well as the impeller portion as well as the suction line, is filled with the water. That removes the air trapped into that into the pump. Okay, so then you will start the pump, then the pump will work properly. Okay, so if a priming is not done, okay, you don't add the water into the pump, okay, what happens is, okay, there is no suction. Okay, the pump will be running, the impeller will be rotating, but there is no the water is pumped, okay, from the sump to the desired destination, or the water doesn't flow from the suction pipe to the delivery pipe. Okay, so that is the disadvantage. You have to prime the pump, and then later on you have to start the pump. Okay, so this is about the concepts for today, which is under the hydraulic pumps. Okay, so to revise those, so what we are all discussed. Okay, so first one is we like try to understand these hydraulic pumps, okay, with an example, and then we also learned about what is the definition for the hydraulic pumps. Later on we have discussed about the classification of the pumps, how these pumps are classified, positive and non-positive displacement pumps, and then we have discussed in detail the construction and working of a reciprocating pump as well as a centrifugal pump as an example for positive displacement and non-positive displacement. And then two more concepts, that is concept of cavitation and then the concept of priming is also we have discussed. Okay, so that's all for the session. Thank you so much.